You know, and I know, and they know, cause we know, we go all in, you know, and I know, and they know, cause we know, we go all in.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the newest edition of What You've Been Missing. Welcome Sunday night to everybody tuning in who's been missing us for the past 14 days. It's the All Dressed Up Podcast. We live and direct with your boy Hef Streams. What up, Hef?
What is good, everybody? We are back. It's been a minute. But you know what? We are back. It's good to see you, K Dizzle. How you been?
Good to see you too, my guy. I've been in love with this football season, but we're gonna talk about it in a minute. But I'm glad we own it, man. Had some technical difficulties and some other stuff going on in the holidays, but so much has happened, and there's so much to talk about, and I'm ready to talk about it, and I'm excited. I'm ready to go, man. What is the word, man? What you been up to?
Man, you know, I've been doing some big things. Me and my girl, we just got a new place, so we've been moving in. That's always exciting, but it's tough. It's tough when you're moving in and you work real hard too. So I've been doing the whole Amazon thing. You know, everything I see, I'm just excited to go ahead and put it in the cart and just click and click. So I've been realizing, like, every day when I come home, there's just like more and more boxes. And it's just like piling up, man. So at this point, I got to start putting some of this shit together.
The cavalcade,
it's getting real.
You gotta slow that down, man.
But it's been cool though, man.
Those things pile up very quickly, man. So be easy on that.
Yeah, they don't come like they look in the picture. It looks very different when they arrive. So,
oh my God. Well, I'll tell you what, we picked the perfect night to start the slide through with Baltimore being in town playing the Kansas City Chiefs. What did you say? You called it a turnover fest?
It's a turnover fest, man. I'm over here watching it in the cut, and it's like every time Lamar Jackson walks down the field, they want to give the ball over. Honey Badger already had 2 interceptions. He had a pick 6, and the pick 6 wasn't Lamar Jackson's fault, though. Sammy Watkins slipped and fell, you know, their newest addition. Baltimore is known to get a washed-up receiver every year, so Sammy Watkins is that guy this year. But unfortunately, yeah, right now Kansas City is marching down the field again. So I see it being a high-scoring ball game. Hopefully Lamar Jackson can get me like 60 fantasy points because my team is getting its ass whooped right now.
Oh man! Shout out to my man Marcel Love and London Voice Crickets in the building, aka MarcelLove.com. Go check my guy out. Appreciate you, man. Hey, look, one of the things I am super excited about is football season. We missed you too, Miss Carter. We missed you too. But look, almost every single game has been super close, super exciting, and super entertaining. It's a real good balance in the NFL this year.
Look at you being excited because you thought you were going to be 0-2 and you played San Fran tough today. That's what happens when the Eagles plays a tough game. All of a sudden, they're excited for the NFL season.
I thought it was going to be a 2-0 situation, but really? It is what it is. It is what it is. We 1-1. I think everybody's 1-1 in the division except for those New York Football Giants.
Yeah, we smacked them up. I was happy to bet my Barbie because last week I bet on the Washington football team when they played the Chargers. I don't know what happened that game, but I did get my money back because I bet him against the Eagles this week, and San Fran pulled it out in the win. What's up, Miss Huffer? How you doing?
I'm gonna help in the building. Shout out to Marcel again for those New York Football Giants. He'll figure it out sooner or later.
Oh,
We'll get
Marcella Giants fan. It's gonna be a long one, man. You know, stats say when you start off on 2, Melvin, it's a long season, bro. It's a long season.
long season. What you got, man? What's going on, man? What's been on the brain, my guy?
Man, it's been so much, man. Like I've been looking around and cancel culture's been back at its finest. A lot of people have come back and gotten back in the good graces of the media. We're not gonna say any names, but it made me start to think about, where music is going, right?
Okay.
So obviously right now the wave is TikTok. And everything about TikTok is what's catchy, how can I make a dance come with it? It's taking the new place of a music video.
Taking away the substance.
Right, it's taking away the substance, but I'm getting there. And I got my boy in the background. Usually I don't have many visitors, but if you hear somebody from the side, K Dizzle, it's my boy. He's a producer. We'll be talking about music. But this TikTok thing, let's talk about TikTok. So
Oh man.
no, seriously, I'm not gonna bash TikTok. Hey, Miss Rona, how you doing?
Building.
Happy Sunday. So I'm not gonna be the old man here bashing the kids
You
because
sound like
first
an
and
old man.
foremost, now let me talk. I love the kids. I love the art. I love everything that's going on. I want people to grow and get their thing off and get inspired. That's what art is about. But my opinion of TikTok is it's a short clip. You're turning a song into about a minute at its best. And a lot of these people that are making these dances and these hooks off of TikTok are turning it into rap songs. And in my opinion, it's really killing the game right now. It's killing the music. It's messing with the substance because if you come up with something that's repetitive with a nice hook,
Mm.
and let me just give you an example, like with Soldier Boy, he's the best at it. First and foremost, when he came out the "She Make It Clap" and he said it over and over and over, "She Make It Clap, Clap, Clap." That's TikTok at its finest. And
Yeah.
now you can even see like superstars like Drake. He comes out with his single, "I'm Too Sexy for My." And a lot of kids don't even know that's an actual old song by Right Said Fred back in the early 90s.
Right.
But the fact that it sounds good and you can put it on repeat, and all you have to do is really play it on the loop for about a minute and 30. A lot of these songs, when you really like listen to it on your streaming device, it's like 2 minutes long.
Pretty much.
So, if you think about it, it's shortening songs, it's making it very repetitive, and it's killing the lyrics. So, like, you see all these artists coming out with a nice sound, but it's really taken away from what we came up on. Like, I was talking to you before we came on live, and I was like, those kids would never walk into a cipher and rap. Nah, no, chill out, Arizona. We're going to talk about that. But those kids would never walk into a cipher rapping like that, man. Like you wouldn't even come to the booth and even try to spit like that because you would get embarrassed back then. But I guess I'm old. I'm the old angry guy now.
Yeah.
So
You the old angry guy. Look, TikTok has been around for a couple years now. It is the wave. It is the new hot social media. You know, it's not stupid. It is the new hot
Arizona
social
be
media.
anti
It is
J Cole. Why
industry.
you why you hate J Cole so much, Arizona?
No,
What's up with
don't.
you,
No,
man?
we're not gonna go into that. But we will go into. I do want to talk about Kanye and Drake. But let's get to your TikTok thing, man. Everything is about viral videos, viral dances, and so
And replayability.
and replayability. Nothing. There hasn't been a song by a new artist over 3 minutes that wasn't forced recently. So let's just be honest with ourselves. The attention span has changed. The culture is in a shift mode. The people that are driving it, it is what it is. We got to accept it and like what we can out of it. If we don't like it, you don't like it. We
But
said the
even
same thing.
like
We said
Arizona
the same thing
said,
about hip hop
relax,
in the
Seth.
90s. Look,
Arizona said you can't listen to J. Cole in the club. But I don't want to
now,
listen to I don't want to listen to Spot 'em Got 'em in the club either.
now,
And since I mentioned Spot 'em Got 'em, we gotta say
oh,
I'm
Florida.
glad that he pulled through. They can't
They
even
pulled
let the
through.
young man live. He's a
Good.
TikTok rapper. Why what did he do to deserve this? Like they can't even let my man Spot 'em Got 'em live out here. He got shot 5 times. Car allegedly got shot up 22 times, but he is pulling through. So prayers go up to the young man. I'm definitely not making fun of that situation, but damn,
Yeah.
another TikTok rapper.
look. TikTok is TikTok. There's so much on TikTok that you can get lost with your attention span into it. I know plenty of people who get on it and get stuck down a rabbit hole for hours just because it's short. You think it's short, quick videos, but if you watch enough short, quick videos in succession, it can turn into hours.
But
If
my
you,
thing is though, if you're gonna be on TikTok, you're practicing something just to go viral. You're doing something over and over again, watching yourself practice a dance, as opposed to at least like people on YouTube, they're bringing more substance and content, and I think being a little bit more original. Like a lot of these TikTokers are taking something and just piggybacking on everybody else, and it just turns into just like a copy of the same thing over and over to where me personally, I get tired of hearing the songs on TikTok. I
well,
told you that before.
I know, slow down, though, man. You gotta understand. I'm telling the young guy, slow down, old man. Look, every social media website or every app evolves into a certain way and a certain dynamic. There's certain people that are on Facebook. There's certain, Instagram evolved from just pictures to now being all about influencers and short videos and whatever the case may be. Twitter is Twitter, TikTok is TikTok, and remember the old Snapchat? Remember that? So I mean, that stuff evolves into different formats based on over time how people are going to use it. And TikTok is it's what it is, man. Vine, yeah, Vine stars. Everybody understands that the attention's trying to grab the person's attention span is important. That's why you got YouTube Shorts, you got Facebook Shorts, you got Instagram Stories, Facebook Stories. Everybody wants to keep your eyes focused, and then that TikTok does a great job at it. That it's the hot ticket right now. The advertising dollars go in, and the money just goes out to everybody who gets involved. So look,
I'm gonna tell you, man. Most of the successful platforms, if you think about it, they want you to go down that proverbial rabbit hole.
yeah, it's,
You
it's
know, once you
advertising.
yeah, once you get into that trend and that thread, and you start to like everything that you look at. Nah, see, everybody's coming at me tonight. Arizona's coming. Look, man, I'm
You gotta
just
get
gonna
them to
take it
know.
on a chin
Yeah,
pause and just let it go.
Fa been right. He ain't been right since Clubhouse, bro. Clubhouse and ruined his life.
Nah,
But
he's
look,
talking about certified lover boy.
oh,
That's
wait a
because that's
minute. Okay,
because
we
and
we
that's
go.
gonna tie into the show, Kermit.
That
That's
is
why I'm
going
not
to
even
tie
gonna
into
say
the
anything
show.
about it.
That is going to tie into the show. But while we were gone,
Here we
um,
go.
it engulfed and encompassed like an entire week and a half because of nonsense. It was a big debate on whose was better, Donda or Certified Lover Boy. Donda or Certified Lover Boy. Well, those in the chat, if you listen to both of them, just write in either DONDA, Donda, or CLB, which one you prefer. Okay. I will let Hef talk about it because it was like just the talk of the town for the past couple weeks. Erica says CLB. Okay. Uh, do we have any Donda fans out there?
And you know, Erica
Donda,
saw my
Donda,
saw my
Donda,
emotional roller
Donda.
coaster. Erica saw my emotional roller coaster on social media because I was posting how I felt. But
Yeah.
the thing about me, I try to live with the album as I review it. Like I don't want to give it a quick listen through like the 25 tracks all at one time. But here we go. I see the chat. Keep it coming. But in my opinion, sonically, Donda was an overall better album. Sonically. Now Drake, he definitely stuck to his formula of why he's been successful. And my beef with the Drake album and why I was saying what I said about it was it to me it didn't show any growth. Like at this point in Drake's career, he should be talking about something different. And I think he knew that this album he had some throwaway tracks, and he's got so much good music that fits his formula that he can put out a whole album and promote it like it's really something big. And really, they're throwaway tracks. Like I think what he did was he grouped a whole bunch of like, you know, romance type singing, and then he threw in his beef with Kanye to kind of satisfy the streets so he could rap, and he made it an album.
Hmm.
And if you think about it, he's been promoting it for the last like what 4 or 5 months. Once he cut the hardness in his shape up, so everything's marketing. Arizona said the artistry was way unmatched. But in my opinion, again, like Drake should be, like he says it himself. He's been rapping and been in the music industry for 11 years. I think we should be hearing something a little bit different.
Hmm.
Just in my opinion. But like I said, I like Kanye trying to always think out the box. He has some interesting features. He took it some different places I didn't expect him to take it. And that's why I got to give overall better sonically album to Donda. But if you want to
Hmm.
just listen to something going to the club, you can play about 5 or 6 straight tracks off of CLB.
That's fair assessment. I, I turned Donda on, and I couldn't even. I was trying to listen, but I got lost by track 4, and I was like, "What is going on here? What are we doing? What is life about at this point?" So you had to, for Donda, you had to listen to it like 2 or 3 times. I mean, it was me and my boy KC says calls it a grunya. We're one of those albums that have to grow on you. It's a
Yeah,
grunya.
absolutely.
I mean, it's one of those that has to grow on you. Um,
And if you
Certified
don't want
Lover,
it to grow on you, it's okay.
it's okay. You don't want it to grow on you. It's
It's
okay. I,
okay.
I mean, I immediately called. I was in the middle of track 4, and I immediately called my boy KC. He was like, "What the hell am I listening to?" He was like, "Dog, I couldn't get through it either." I said, "All right, before I make my final assessment, let me try to work my way through it." Donda
Yeah.
was a decent album. Certified Lover Boy was a decent album. Certified Lover Boy was exactly what you expect from Drake. I thought it was. I thought there were a few times on there where he sounded angry. Um, see, so far, Erica says she's still working through Donda. So far, I like 3 songs.
Which 3 songs do you like, Erica? I'm
Remote Control,
curious.
Remote Control. I
I
just
know
think
I liked Off the Grid. Like I didn't think that I was gonna like Fabio Foreign, that New
that.
York drill type rap. And it was funny because Kanye had him on that track and you could hear the
Is that the
beat
one with Jada and
change.
everybody on it?
Nah, that was Fabio. He was spitting
Okay.
for like 2 strong verses. He's a New York drill rapper, so whenever he raps, the beat has a very significant sound, and
Mm,
you can kind of hear it. Like I'm not gonna imitate how the beat sound. JLX did kill it,
he did kill
but
it.
but with Fabio, when Kanye switched the beat up, that's how you know Kanye is really a musical genius. Like he had a whole different beat when the song started, and then when Fabio started coming in, he started playing that drill beat. Jail's the best song on the album, in my opinion.
Mm,
I agree, Erica. But Fabio, he spit on that verse, on
mm.
that song. Off the Grid. Jail was off the hook. Um, like that song a lot.
Kanye did his thing. Certified Love Boy did his thing too. I would give it to. I would honestly give it to Donda because I can go back and listen to Donda a couple times on
But
the
see, when
chop. Like
Certified Lover Boy came
Certified
out
Lover Boy, you
in
got
my
to pay the
per
money.
in my real life, I was mad at the time. So it didn't speak to my soul because he was on some Lover Boy shit, and I was just mad every day about things that were going on. So it didn't work for me. And then all of a sudden, when my life got better and I started feeling better, and like the weather was nice, and I was driving and I put the windows down. Now all
See,
of a
you doing
sudden,
Draco.
Erica McCoy, she starts to see my posts like, "Oh yeah, I'm feeling Drake. I'm quoting his lyrics and shit," and now I'm acting all light skinned and shit.
Justin LeBoy. Oh man. Well, that both of them did very well on the
And
charts.
Justin,
Both of
so
them
basically, he's
a billion
toxic. It's
streams.
toxicity on track,
Uh,
on wax.
it did very well on the charts. The streams were out of this world. They both hit records. Kudos to Black Ben becoming more wealthy. That's all I can say. That's all
And,
I
and
can
here's
say.
and the kicker about it is why we talk about this shit is they're on the same label. Like they still have Universal backing both of them.
Yeah, yeah.
And at the end of the day, Universal knows that this beef, quote unquote, is not going to lead to them shooting each other. Thankfully, so look, let them go out there and just talk shit about each other and make music. And okay, Kanye do 350 the first week,
Hmm.
Drake could do 600, and who loses?
Nobody,
Mm-mm.
nobody loses on that. It just gives us more to talk about. One thing we ain't talking about is that verses, because probably half of half of a person watched it. I didn't even know it was on. I heard about it. That's how bad it was.
Did you hear what Fat Joe said about Lil Mo and Vita?
No, did not.
Oh man, I wish I'd have told you about that when they came out. Fat Joe said, "Man, you got Dusty Bitch is coming out. You got Dusty Jones with you because he had brought Remy out and Remy was on her fire shit. She was spitting
Mm,
and I ain't gonna lie, Remy stole the show for Fat Joe. She rapped for like 6 songs.
damn.
And when he brought out Vita and Lil Mo, he was basically calling him Dusty. And I was like, damn, like I thought this was supposed to be a friendly
Super whooping.
affair. Yeah, like stay out there singing "What Would I Be Without You," and he's calling him Dusty and shit. And then after the show was over, he had to go and play cleanup and post his little shit and talk about how he loved black women and all that shit. But you gotta chill out. You can't be out there all zooted off the whatever you get zooted on talking about Dusty Bitch's. And you're not gonna see 50 Squash
No.
Ja on stage because what's gonna happen is like Fat Joe said, like basically Kermit Fat Joe said that he had this battle with Ja Rule because he wanted Ja Rule to be able to show what he
He's
had.
got some music.
And allegedly he said a lot of people was ducking Ja Rule. So I would and anybody could conclude that that's 50 Cent.
If he is not in, I don't know why he continues to believe that he is in the same realm, stratosphere as 50 Cent. I have no
But
idea.
in a versus though, it depends on
In a,
what songs are played, in my opinion.
no, in the
He
verses, it does not matter. It has no bearing. There is not a single name. No, we're not going down that rabbit hole.
Now you know what?
We're
You
not
know
going
what?
down.
Let me be honest with you. 50 Cent would punish him in the
50
verses.
Cent would what?
That's why he shouldn't even associate himself with that
No,
conversation anymore.
no. No, he might as well just buy the embalming fluid. If he ever decides to still ring 50 Cent. 50 Cent
Yeah,
won't 50 Cent won't take the time. He won't take the phone call. He'll let it go
no.
to voicemail. But um but the only thing I heard about that versus was the fact that Ashanti and Nelly were there.
Oh,
And
it was
and
hilarious.
Ashanti said she was uncomfortable with a hug from him because she was like, I ain't seen him, I ain't talked to him or seen him since we broke up.
It's like 6 years, she said. But see, the internet's undefeated because somebody filmed that exact scenario. Like, I don't know how a person caught that, but you see Nelly, like, Nelly's going through the whole crowd
Like
of people on
yeah.
stage, and he's like making a beeline right to Ashanti, like, sure. And he goes like, and she's like, oh, okay. And she actually interviewed about that herself on I think the Breakfast Club, and she had just said, she didn't expect him to come over,
Right.
and they had asked. No, I think she was on Fat Joe's podcast, and he had asked her about it, and she said, she's definitely not single, so she wasn't, really too interested
Well,
in any type of things he was doing.
shout out to Cornell Haynes Jr. Uh, trying to shoot a shot again and getting the Burger King sandwich. So
Mm.
it was a tough situation at that point.
Nelly is an old school classic overachiever. I can't be mad at him.
It's Mr. Cornell Haynes himself, Sweat and Suit. I'll never forgive that album. But let's
Mm.
move on. Let's move on to bigger, better things. Let's talk about what we came to talk
That
about.
was a double disc too.
That was a double disc.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, I was off Nelly by the time that shit came out. I did not invest in no sweatsuit double disc. No, thank you. My boy did. He played that shit right. Nope. Mm-mm.
Sweat and Suit. Nah, bro.
Sweating suit. Stop it. That gets to stop it.
It was about as good as his verses with the internet connection.
I passed that.
Past that.
I
All
never
right.
will go back and watch that.
So so the title of MC Hammer Out by Generation.
I agree,
That's so
man. What a
bad.
good comparison. But he's
So
not broke
bad.
though.
He ain't broke though. So he just, like I said, he just got a Burger King sandwich. Look, the name of this episode.
I should have did a rant about Sweetie. Before we go, man, let's talk about Sweetie for 2 seconds.
Sweetie in her
Man, Sweetie has turned
Why?
into the most media marketable. I mean, don't get me wrong, she's a very attractive young lady, but they turned her into a marketing showcase. She has a McDonald's meal. She has some type of like ranch Crocs combo. Man, it's getting ridiculous, man. Every time I go on Instagram, she's doing something different. And I can't hate because she's getting big money off of her branding, but
Make your
damn.
your audience is your audience, man. I've. It's been a while since I ate McDonald's, and at the same time, I don't. There's nothing that appeals to me to go get a sweetie meal from
Mm.
McDonald's. I don't even know what it entails. It don't even matter. But for you to, that's like me going to Hardee's and getting the Eddie Murphy Deluxe. It's like Negro, what is it other
Mm.
than a quarter pound of beef, cheddar cheese or whatever, lettuce and tomato? I
he said
respect the hustle. Respect the hustle. Let
he
that be
said her pictures all over beauty supply stores.
said. And
That's funny.
she's a perfect example of what we're talking about tonight, man. The episode name, we went a long time on that. The episode name tonight is, and I say this to you quite a few times. Quite a few times. I say it because I know you get a little irritated with it. You acting real light skin. And we talking about tonight as the issue of colorism in our community. Colorism in our community. Half, I'm gonna let you lead on this one. I want you
Well, well,
understanding this stuff.
well, I'm glad we're talking about this tonight because if anybody knows me, you guys know that I'm on the far pale end of the spectrum. And this is nothing that I've been a stranger to since I've been born on this planet. And honestly, I'm glad we're talking about it because first and foremost, let me ask you, Kate, when you say I act light skinned, what do you entail? What does that mean to you when you
Huh?
say that?
When I say that to you, it's real attitude-ish. You quick to react. Um, I have light skinned sisters. I got light skinned daughters. I have a light skinned wife. Quick to react. A little snippy. Um, I'm trying to be. I'm just
Nah, just go. Don't try to
no, no,
be
no.
shit.
I'm
Don't be
not.
light skinned. Don't be light
No,
skinned. Just
I'm
keep it
not
real.
being light skinned. I'm being real. Um, Light skinned people are associated with being having short tempers. Plain and simple. That's the easiest way to put it.
And so
Short
why is
tempers.
that?
Why is that? You know what? For me, that's experience. For most, that's a stereotype. For me, that's experience. For most, that's a stereotype.
I guess my question is why on the surface would somebody quote unquote light skinned have to be more temperamental or be more, I guess, quick to react? Why would you say that?
Why would I say that?
Hmm.
I s- mm, People are quick to react and temperamental because they're defensive about things that they may or may not be insecure about.
Right.
That's why they go into defense.
So when you ask me to open a question, I talk about personal experience in this situation. So like when I grew up and where I grew up, like everybody in my neighborhood and in my classes and schools were black. And me being, what I am looking as light as I am, I got picked on because I guess a lot of the kids just wanted to make it known that I wasn't, I guess, as dark as I guess they thought I should be. And it's funny as shit, right? Because I got friends to this day,
Look at your mom protecting you already.
right?
My son, light
So,
skinned, pretty boy.
and see, pretty boy, right? So I got friends to this day that basically would call me Casper back then growing up, would call me the friendly ghost. And these are like my best friends to this day. But when we got down to Jonah, that's what you call like talking shit about somebody where we
Mhm.
come from, right? When we got down to joning, that shit would piss me off. Like a lot of people will really know how to get under my skin who knew me because they knew I didn't like that shit. And I'm not gonna say it's a good or bad thing or whatever they were saying is like, really negative, but I guess you just don't want to feel like you're not included. You know
Mm.
what I'm saying? Like with me, like all my friends are darker, and it's like I'm in the neighborhood and they're making fun of me, but I feel like I had to at that point prove myself to a certain extent. And I got into a lot of little tussles and arguments and fights growing up with kids because of that purpose or because of that reason. And I think like as an adult, it's kind of giving me a little bit of a complex of sensitivity because you hear it all the time. And even if you have dark skinned friends, they like to say like, or they like to equate light skin with being soft. And nobody wants to feel soft, especially if you like around your boys or your men. Like, so it comes down to like egos and everything else that comes with that.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, some people can't handle it probably as well as others. Like, I think it can be really affecting some people. And we're gonna talk even some more about this situation because there is a flip side to this, of course, as well.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, let me ask you a question on how can that colorism affect the workplace? How do you think
Well,
that?
you would think that obviously, let's talk about 2021. Representation is good
Hmm.
for everybody now because you want in a successful business you want to have that representation. But I would say the stereotype, because essentially we're talking about a lot of stereotypes,
Stereotype.
that the light skinned person has more opportunities in the workplace than the dark skinned person because okay, we got to represent that we have black. That's probably what the business is thinking, but they still want to be comfortable with the level of black. And that's another funny thing too, because you know, I guess the lighter you are, maybe the less black you are in certain situations. But you definitely see that in the corporate world sometimes, especially a few years ago. But and that can be true, unfortunately.
Mm. Mm. Let's see what my mom said. I got a close friend. She was dark skinned. She told me she always had it hard growing up due to light skinned girls hating on her. It counts both ways
Hmm.
that doing so to her has messed her up with different ethnic men. It's a stereotype that you heard of also. That's the other part of it too. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
You
And that's
know,
what we're going to talk about.
yeah. The other side of it, either being too dark, you know, that causes issues in the community because you get teased on, you get picked on.
Right.
Just like this example here. I got picked on because I was a little cat. They used to call me a little Cambodian boy. I had long, straight hair. I'm super Asian looking, uh, and I'm growing up in uptown DC. So I had that chip on my shoulder. That chip on my shoulder, as far as uh, not be not looking like the quote unquote typical black person. I'm black and Filipino. So now there's something that they can use to pick on you other than just you being black. Now you're black and Filipino, you light skin, you black and you really dark skin. Um, you know, those things um, just just create so much division within our community.
Hmm.
um, and you got to talk about again where it all stems from and how this all came about, and you can trace this to the beginning, to the damn beginning. You can talk about Africa, you can talk about in America where it really became prominent. you know um, we talk about racism in itself, we talk about slavery, how light-skinned people were where in the house, dark-skinned people were in the shed, for the most part. And I think that's part of where the divide begins, and the pitting of us against each other really began for us in America. So, how it affects the workplace, that's one of the things I really want to dive in as far as the relationships between peers.
Hmm.
Let's say, you're the assistant general sales manager, right? And your sales manager is dark skinned Nigerian. Generations down the line, I think we're all mixed. We all believe the same, and have some same type mixes. You're 100% right. But when we talk about socioeconomic status and how we perceive each other, stereotypes wise,
Hmm.
our colors unfortunately plays a big role. Just as bad as black and white, black and black. black and black, black and brown, black and brown and yellow, yellow and yellow, whatever it is, right? Because we're always trying to. There's always been a way to try to divide us between amongst ourselves. It's very rare where you hear, um, well, maybe because we're not privy to it, but it's very rare that you hear, whites being stereotypical amongst each other outside of the only one that
financially.
I'm aware of. Yeah, financially, which is, you got the well-to-dos and then the trailer park. They always look at the trailer park as being, downtrodden or being poor. Well,
But
let
it's
me.
much easier to cause a racial divide amongst blacks with the colorism portion because take the money aside, and you can
Mhm,
perpetuate these stereotypes, and now you have this this inner hate. And unfortunately, it's tough, man, because sometimes you look at it and it's funny, and we joke. And like I said, me and my boys, we grew up talking a lot of shit to each other. But like a lot of the times when I fought and I got upset, and even to this day when I get mad, it hurts, man. Like again, you don't want to feel like you're not included or you're not a part of, your people where you come from because you came out really light, or you also don't want to feel like you're not as beautiful, like we're gonna talk about, because you're really dark. Like I'm not gonna sit here and just talk about the lighter complected people go through it because the darker complected people go through it. We're gonna talk about how a lot of people like to have or they like to make quotes or comments about pretty light skinned babies or what's good hair and this shit and that shit. But like at the end of the day, there's darker complected people that are way more beautiful than some lighter complected people.
mhm. And,
And that went back in like the 80s, I guess, like with the Prince era and all these other like actresses like Vanessa Williams and stuff like we talked about, that kind of made it seem like that's what you had to look like to be beautiful. And on the flip side, that's unfortunate as well.
yeah, it's definitely a lot of ignorant people out there. But how are we continually? I will say this. I will say this. There has been a movement within the last few years of
Hmm.
brown is beautiful. Brown skin is beautiful. Trying to combat the stereotype that's constantly perpetuated.
Right.
So I'll get big ups to that. Shout out to Beyonce for brown skin girl. Idiotly, dark skin does not equal ugly.
Exactly.
Light skin does not mean cute. But how do we work on not perpetuating that stereotype? So like we automatically, yeah. How do you not perpetuate the stereotype?
That's the thing. I mean, we just got to figure out like when does it go too far, or is it something that we shouldn't joke about in the beginning? Like it's funny, like when you and your guys are together and you say, "Oh, he's light skinned, he might be soft, he ain't gonna fight, or he a pretty boy, or stuff like that might be cool." But like at a certain point, is it really something that we should do?
Mm,
Because on the outside looking in, it's not really like a productive conversation at all. I mean, hey, you can joke about it, but I don't know. It might not necessarily have a place in today's world because we all should be there to support each other 100%.
yeah, I mean, look, I agree 110%. The issue is like these are some built-in things that we think of when we see people, right? These are some stuff that's baked in our personalities from experiences, from hearing things or things being shared with us.
Right.
Um, so, what are the steps? What do we do to help combat that? Because the biggest issue is, I know from time to time, I say it to people like yourself. I say it to a lot of my friends that I know that can understand, that can take it. But also, um, there's some baked in stuff when I see a light skinned person, I see a dark skinned person, that I'm going to believe in based on how I was grown, based on how I was brought up. Um, how do we kind of combat that? How do we kind of
That's a
how do
good
we
question, man. I mean, that's a good question because I think people as a society we just enjoy stereotyping. Like, it's I think we always like to think that we can identify everybody or perceive everybody the way that we believe to be.
Mhm,
And I think psychologically we tend to use those stereotypes.
mm,
And unfortunately, you can't just look at a person and equate them to any type of trait or any type of characteristic just based off of their complexion.
Mm,
It's not possible. You know what I'm saying? Like, what makes you think that a light skinned person is pretty because they're light skinned? That doesn't make any sense. What makes you think a dark skinned person is ugly because they're dark skinned? That doesn't make any sense. But unfortunately, we play these games and we make these jokes. And again, other people see these types of, conversations amongst people, and they might play off it. And that's the other part of this conversation. Like when we're amongst each other and we're having these type of conversations, right?
mm,
You got to be careful at who else is watching.
right,
Like you say, corporate America in different places, your kids going to school, other people are watching that might not be, they might be from a different culture, and they might look at these types of conversations and think this is how it is, and that's not good.
right, right, right. So I mean, it's just a situation. It's crazy to think about how you can look at somebody. Well, I'm not gonna say crazy because it's a part of life. We all play the victim of
Right.
stereotyping people based on not only just the color of their skin. I always want to say content and character, but the color of their skin. Dr. King is crazy. He's indoctrinated me. But color of their skin and also their outwardly appearance, which is funny too, because when we really get into colorism, we're talking about stereotyping people um, based on their looks, really, really based on looks. There are some super ignorant people in the world. And the biggest thing is trying to figure out ways to combat that ignorance and turn it into a positive. And having these conversations about, you know, colorism and how we can make the adjustments to move forward to try to minimize that stereotype, that built-in stereotypes is important. It's
But
truly important.
why you say that, like, let me keep it real, right? And talk about myself, because I'm far from perfect, and I've been on that other side of being made fun of, and things like that, and I respond usually in a bad way. Like,
Mhm.
you've actually talked to me about this before, and being, an older an older good friend to me, like a big brother. But like, you can't always choose violence,
Mhm.
and when you ask that question, in my opinion, it should come down to having the conversation. Like, first off, if you're uncomfortable with any type of joking or jokes in that nature, it's okay to say, look, man, I'm uncomfortable joking like that. I think that's probably the first step, because we should all love each other, man. We all are going through the same fight. I'm gonna tell you right now, if you get pulled over and you have a situation with, and I'm not getting on the police, but like, if you get into one of those stereotypical situations, I don't think the outcome's going to be much different.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that we should start by just taking care of each other and having the conversation. And if you feel uncomfortable with the certain way that you're being treated because of colorism, just like, tell your person or tell your friend, because a lot of the times it's happening with your friends. It's happening with people that you're hanging out in close quarters with, because that's why they feel comfortable to joke with you and treat you like that way in the beginning, to begin
Mhm.
with. So, like I said, to answer your question, I think we should definitely start by having a conversation.
So how much different, or um what's the distance between colorism and racism?
Well, in
Do you?
my opinion, colorism is within one race.
Mm,
So obviously, there are different races that make up different complexions.
right?
So you can't say that, like, a person that might not necessarily be black can't be dark skinned and still have the same type of effect from colorism. So, there I guess there is a gray area when you think about it, because it depends on, I guess, the person that's putting them through whatever they're going through.
Mm,
But ultimately, like I said, in my opinion, with colorism, we're talking about people of the same race kind of treating each other differently due to their different complexion.
hmm. Well, that's we are of similar complexion, but of different races. So that's why I asked, what's the difference between colorism and racism? isn't that internal racism amongst brown and black people?
in a way. But some people would say, I think it would be more so of again stereotyping and more so of a prejudice because again racism is more of like systemic oppression holding down an entire race in my opinion. Again, I'm not like the end all be all when it comes to definitions, but
Hmm.
I think more so colorism leads to again treating people due and based off of a stereotype and also having prejudice based off of a stereotype. Again,
But
we're talking about something like, oh, well, this person is soft because they're light skinned. Something as stupid as that. And when you think
well,
about it, like,
that's
go ahead.
that's a prejudice against that
Correct.
person because they're light skinned, which is the same thing as being racist because you know racism has a strong connotation um, in America because of our history. Um, but when you break the word down in itself, it's purely racism is the act of prejudice or discrimination based on a person's color of their skin, the outward appearance. And we are basically practicing racism within our own different cultures against, brown and black people.
I
And
think you'd be practicing racist behavior, but I don't think it would necessarily be racism.
well, because the racism takes on a different definition for you when you really get down to it, right?
In
But
my
it's
opinion, yeah.
in your opinion when you look at the word racism, it becomes a huge different, a whole different a feeling and emotion behind it. But when we simplify it and just look at the pure definition in words, well, colorism is a form. Well, colorism in itself, it was a word that was created to define racism amongst amongst a specific ethnic group of black people, black and brown people.
But again, it's something that we use to identify something. That's what we like to do as
Yeah, it's
people.
yeah, and it's the same thing we use. It's racism is the word we use to identify prejudice and discrimination against anyone of color. Colorism is the word we use amongst us black folk. I mean, let's just be honest with ourselves and say what it is, put it on the table. We look at certain black people look at dark skinned black people a different way. Certain black people look at light skinned black people a different way, and that's just being racist within your own culture. Now,
I think Tupac started that shit.
that Tupac started that. Now, there are deep seated, rooted emotions and experiences when you say racism between black and white people because of our nation's history. But when you talk about racism amongst black people, it takes on a totally different connotation. When one and both are not the same historically, but systematically it is. Systematically it is.
Right.
So, just the example that Ron talked about earlier, how how he says Tyler Perry perpetuates it by continually casting a light skinned black dude to save the dark skinned woman.
That's a great point.
I don't, Shamar Moore has been eating off of Tyler Perry for a very long time, ugly braids and all. You know what I'm saying? But it's
He
just
got the
something that,
ugly straight backs, man.
yeah,
Like he had the straight backs in for
them
like
joints
6 weeks.
dusty. Them joints was dusty and fuzzy. But look, uh, them joints. Why would you put like 2 week worn braids on a dude like that?
That
But
was the
yeah,
way.
joints
That
was.
was the way he was trying to take away from his light skinness. He
Is
wanted to
that what he
be.
was trying to do? Trying to
See,
make it
he
more
was trying. Yeah, see, he was one step
look
ahead of
dusty. Yo,
you.
he was.
He a
Yeah,
dusty light skin.
he was. That shit will go down in infamy. He will never live that shit down. That and the crooked teeth and the other joint. But look,
Oh man, you are
but look,
hilarious.
but look. Just being conscious of that and realize what we're doing when we're doing it.
Right.
We all look. We do it. They're innate. stereotypes that we use. We always think Africans are going to wear Jesus sandals. That's a stereotype, right? We always think that Jamaicans are going to cook jerk chicken. That's a stereotype, right? We always think. Yeah, I'm just saying stereotypes out loud. One of the big ones we talked about, which half the whole show was about light skinnedness and attitude and short temper, right? Those are just stereotypes and different forms of prejudices we have within our community. We really need to talk more about trying to rebuild those bridges so we cannot focus on that BS. Um, it's unconscious bias. That's learned behavior from when you were growing up. And
Yeah,
so
and it's based off
I'll
experience
let
because you know.
Mama talk while we go on. Look, look. You see, I've heard girl stuff say when I was pregnant, I prayed
Exactly.
for like, yeah.
And that
Oh
and that breaks my
man.
heart, man. Like that's a good one,
Oh
Erica,
man.
because like that right there got people thinking like, like guys like me got let me watch what I say. But there was a lot of people like light skinned baby hunting. And I'm not trying to say that that's something that I think is a real thing that should be a thing. Like I think dark skinned babies are beautiful. But that's interesting for a woman to say that. That's sad.
It's just insane. It's just insane when you really get down to it, um, because of the stereotype that these kids are going to look better than the other kids. It's just absolutely insane. So, kid is a kid, dark, brown, black, light, even white kid. But people don't know. People just people just have that unconscious bias, that built up mental picture of what they believe beautiful is to be. So beauty is always and forever
That's a
going to be
good
in the
point.
eye of the beholder. And we just need to make sure that our our picture is not skewed. It's always going to be skewed to a certain way, but you got to make sure that the picture of what isn't skewed, and just be mindful and be open to looking at more than just what that people that you're used to is. So, um, man,
The same build a
ain't
bear
built
with kids. And
a
that's it's a good conversation, and that's what we do. Like we always talk about K Dizzle. Like these are conversations that we want to try to, I guess, start and like roll the ball on the court so we could be more familiar within our neighborhoods and our society. So instead of resorting to violence and getting so angry about these situations,
Creek
we can
World.
we can talk. We can talk it out, figure out what the real issue is, because I don't think it really comes down to colorism. I think it goes beyond that.
Yeah, it goes
You'll
a little.
be surprised. You'll be surprised to the what type of person, what type of character I would say that person has.
Mm, yeah, that see now we're getting into people and getting into
Right.
people and say so many freaking different ways, and we can talk to blue in the face about that, but we're not going to go that route. I think the takeaway from this is pay attention to your stereotypes and when they activate. Pay attention
That's
to your
real.
stereotypes and when they activate. The discussion tonight was colorism and how we use stereotypes based on the people's shade of their skin, whether they're dark skin or whether they're light skin. I encourage you to pull it up on iTunes, Spotify, which all of them will be blasted tomorrow morning. But just keep in mind when you're looking at people, just be pay a little more attention to yourself and listen to yourself and make sure that what you're saying to yourself about that person isn't a stereotype based on past experiences. We all automatically put somebody in a box based on an outward appearance that we initially see within the first 10 seconds. That's
And
just how.
also remember, we always deal with a lot of things from the outside as well. So let's not beat each other up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's a tough world out here, so let's love each other.
You know what? What my dog? That's exactly what she learned. See,
Wow, they talking about some different
we're
stuff in
talking about
school
some good
now.
stuff. I mean, it's just the conversation has to be had. Pay attention to your stereotypes. Regardless of skin color, we are all God's children. We are
Yes.
all born with a purpose and the plan. You are always in the right place at the right time, no matter what it looks like. It's always going to happen based on your reactions. Your reactions to the situations your determine your direction. And so, if you look at it that way, you will start prayerfully to start making better decisions on how you interact with people, how you look at people, and just try to be a better human and make this world a little bit better as the day goes by. That's all I got for this week, my man. I think today was like a heartfelt conversation.
It
More
turned
so
out
than
to be
football.
positive, man, and that's what our angle was. And like on a
Yeah,
serious note, like shout out to everybody in the chat. Thank you, Creekwater. Thank you, Patty Hef. Thank you, Erica McCoy. Thank you, Miss Rona. Love you very much, and everybody else who tunes in. But we're back. If you didn't hear, we're
we're back.
back. Next week is episode 31. You won't see this bullshit behind me. This was just something that I had to do to make sure I
Oh, you
came
know.
back. But the studio is under construction. You will see some nice things very soon.
Look at Jamal
We
praising We
are
Are the
the
World.
world.
Stop
We
it.
are the
Kids do
children.
not know that song nowadays. Okay,
Hey,
they do
kids know
not know that
TikTok
song.
songs. We can cut that up, put it on TikTok, and be like, "We are the world. We are the children," and play it over and over. But
You
look,
gotta, you trap beat.
follow me on Half Streams, man, on Instagram. Follow your boy K Dizzle DC. We are
Doing
recorded.
all
You can pull up every episode. We on 30 now. What you got, K Dizzle? I'm good,
30,
man. Love
31. I ain't
everybody.
got
Have a
nothing
great
else.
night.
I love when we have good positive conversations. We usually raunchy as hell in this BI, but tonight was a good one. I think if you don't get anything else, just pay attention to yourself before you pay attention to what you're thinking about before you open your mouth.
Very
Because
true.
usually, some of us our mouths beat our thoughts to the punch. And
Very
so
true.
just pay attention to what you're thinking about and just evaluate, am I in the right frame of mind right now?
Because you might not get that opportunity to think about how bad you messed up.
110%. 110%. You can catch us this week and every week Sundays at 9 p.m. Same spot, YouTube, Facebook, ADU Podcast. Look us up. On Mondays, you can catch us on Spotify and iTunes for the replays. We're here and we're
Yes.
back and we love it. Episode 31 is next week. We thank y'all for being faithful. Have what you got.
Hey, man, love everybody. Thank you guys for coming on every night. We will see you next Sunday. Thanks, K Dizzle.
Thanks,
Peace.
man. See you, baby.
And you know, and I know, and they know, 'cause we know.